this was indeed an act
This
of
is the
terrorism.
secret
The driver was
about
killed,
the
and at least
U.S. Terro
7 people
attack.
were injured. And CNN's Natasha Chen joined.
Listen to
Natasha,
this
some very
video.
interesting information coming
You
in from
will
our Haley
understand
Britsky
more
over at the
about the
Pentagon
U.S. Terro
about
attack.
the man connected to the rental of this Cybertruck. What more are you learning?
You will fully understand.
Right, Jim. Well, Haley has confirmed in just the last few minutes that he is an active-duty U.S. Special Forces soldier assigned to 10th Special Forces Group, according to 4 U.S. officials, that he holds the rank of Master Sergeant, a senior enlisted rank, these officials said. 3 officials said he was on active duty serving in Germany. Are still trying to work out whether this was a terrorist attack. Now, just to recap a little bit of what happened behind us just 24 hours ago, approximately, there are still police presence here around the valet area of where you pull into the Trump International Hotel just off of the Vegas Strip. This Cybertruck that he allegedly rented was rented from Colorado from the Turo rental platform. Authorities say that he drove it here to Las Vegas by 7:30 a.m. on New Year's Day, that he drove because of the body construction of this Tesla Cybertruck, saying that, you know, the front glass of the Trump Hotel behind us did not even suffer any damage. The driver inside did die from this explosion. There were 7 other people injured, Jim.
All right, Natasha Chen, get back to us if you hear anything else. We really appreciate it. For more on this, CNN's Chief Law Enforcement now. John, let's start with this new information coming in from our Haley Britsky over at the Pentagon. How shocking is this, that this was an active duty soldier? You know, to me, I mean, the fact that this was a U.S. Special Forces soldier assigned to the 10th Special Forces Group, I mean, that tells us that this individual had some expertise if he is indeed the person who was inside the Cybertruck in addition to renting it.
Well, this is information we first reported last night, that he was a U.S. Special Forces operator. The fact that he's what was this event in Las Vegas? Was it an attack on the building? Was it a calculated suicide? But his training for a 36-year-old, 19-year veteran, active duty U.S. military, Green Beret, special operations training, risk management and vulnerability certification, intelligence operations. This really sets him apart in terms of a higher level of training and capability than anyone we would have seen in a similar attack. So again, Jimmy, goes back to the question of what was this? The idea of getting the Elon Musk signature car and bringing it to the gold Trump sign in Las Vegas, driving from Colorado Springs. It really suggests he's trying to send a message with visualization, but he allegedly, if he is the same person whose body was found in that car, they still haven't been able to identify that body, but they know who rented the car. If he is the individual inside, apparently he chose to press that detonator and then remain inside as this conflagration went out.
Right. I mean, there's the symbolism that you just referenced, John, in driving a Tesla Cybertruck up to the Trump Hotel in Vegas and blowing it up. There's also this connection, this potential, I suppose, military connection between this individual in Las Vegas and what took place in New Orleans. And I mean, I know we don't have any established connections or that we know about publicly at this point from official sources, but what do you make of that potential connection? I mean, that sounds like too much of a coincidence to be a coincidence.
As a former senior member of the Joint Terrorism Task Force, both in New York and Los Angeles, the idea that you've got 2 people with military backgrounds, one former, one active, that they go to the same off-brand rental car company, the Toro company, to rent these exotic vehicles, that they both do attacks in tourist locations on a holiday, is the kind of coincidence that you can't say has meaning, but you can't ignore it. So you go into the investigation saying, well, let's disprove it. Let's investigate our way through it and find out if we can validate it or put it aside. But you certainly can't ignore it. Too many factors there.
The FBI is working to determine whether the Tesla Cybertruck explosion earlier today is possibly connected to the New Orleans attack. Here's the moment police say fireworks, gas tanks and camping fuel were detonated in the bed of this vehicle. The FBI also trying to figure out whether it was an act of terrorism. Local police spoke.
Well, I mean, it's a Tesla truck, and we know that Elon Musk is working with President-elect Trump, and it's the Trump Tower, so there's obviously, this was a cyber truck, really limited the damage that occurred inside of the valet because it had most of the blasts go up through the truck and out. In fact, if you look on that video, you'll see that the front glass doors at the Trump
CNN's Veronica Miracle has more details on the investigation for you.
Our John Miller is telling us he has spoken to multiple law enforcement officials who say that the driver of the cyber truck has a military background. Now, law enforcement officials say they know the name of this driver who died in the explosion, but they are not going to be releasing the identity of that driver until they notify the next of kin. We understand that this driver was in Las Vegas for about an hour driving around the Strip before pulling up to Trump Tower before that explosion happened. And authorities say the driver rented the Cybertruck in Colorado via the Turo app before driving down to Las Vegas. Video released by law enforcement shows explosives that were contained inside the truck, which included fireworks, gas tanks, and camping fuel, and all of that was connected to a detonation system that was controlled by the driver. And the sheriff pointed out, which is really incredible, how the Cybertruck actually contained the explosion. The way that it was built forced the explosion to go upwards instead of outwards, which meant that the glass from Trump Tower was not broken, and 7 people nearby were injured, but with minor injuries. All of them are okay. They've all been released from the hospital. The driver did die, and Las Vegas police believe that this was an isolated incident. They are not yet willing to say if this was, in fact, connected to what happened in New Orleans, but it is quite unusual that both the drivers in these incidents rented their cars from Turo. We do have a statement from Turo, and they said they're cooperating with these investigations, but they also said that neither of the drivers had criminal backgrounds, which would have flagged